All right, people, we have some breaking news about Kamala Harris coming out of California. It seems that in her home state, she's not really doing all that well. I wish there was somebody who was around, 6 months ago to say that this is exactly what was going to happen. If only there was somebody. Maybe we'll have better luck next time. Now, this is being reported by IJR Blue. However, the original story was out of the LA Times. The headline says, the California poll bursts Kamala Harris 2020 bubble. Doesn't even crack top 3 candidates in her own state. Now, a new poll revealed that 2020 Democratic primary candidate Senator Kamala Harris is facing some polling trouble in her own state. The Los Angeles Times reported Thursday that Harris, one of the 24 candidates running for Democratic presidential nomination, is not even cracking the top 3 polling spots in her home state of California. According to a poll by the University of California, Berkley Institute of Governmental Studies. Now, the poll notes that the California Democrat was the first choice in the primary for only 13% of likely Democratic primary voters in the Golden State, falling behind Senator Bernie Sanders at 17%, Senator Elizabeth Warren at 18%, and former President Vice President Joe Biden at 22%. Trailing behind Harris was South Bend, Indiana Mayor Pete Buttigieg, who took 10% of the likely primary voters. Harris does have a bit of consolation, though. Most voters in her home state list her as a second choice for the nomination. 21% of primary voters in the Golden State listed the California junior senator as their second choice in the race, putting her ahead of Warren, who won only 17% of likely voters to vote them as their second choice. Biden and Sanders followed the Massachusetts senator, both tied at 12% for the second choice. This illustrates that they may need to broaden their appeal to voters in the critical Democratic primary state. So this should not be all that surprising. Myself, Pasta, and Fiorella actually reported that when we went to the convention, remember when Pasta talked to the delegate who was basically giving a breakdown of how the delegates felt that Kamala Harris did, she didn't do well. The delegates said that she basically shit the bed. She did not do as well as she should have. In a Democratic convention in your own state, that should, especially for Kamala in California, that should be a homecoming more than anything else, right? She shouldn't be going there and competing. She should be going there like, listen, this is my world. I'm just inviting you to it. For example, when Bernie went back to Vermont just recently, good God, I mean, the streets were filled. I mean, in Burlington, Bernie is nothing but adored. And in most parts of Vermont, Bernie is adored. I think he hasn't lost a race with less than, or won a race with less than 80% or 75, something like that, in like 2 decades. Like, he's that loved and beloved in his own state. Now, I get it. California can be a little bit dicey in that regard, but not with the Democrats. Democrats usually pick a team and they stick to it in California. It's one of those things. It's not a real progressive state. It's very neoliberal. And they're very cliquey, right? They're tribalists. Kamala, this is bad, not just because Kamala isn't doing well. This is bad because despite having CNN behind her, despite having every major media, despite the whole Women of Color thing, despite trying to announce on Martin Luther King Day, stupidest thing ever, by the way, despite playing the identity politics with identitarians on the left, despite basically ignoring her Indian heritage, conveniently enough, despite having that massive turnout in Oakland, despite having fundraisers on her side, despite that quote-unquote record that she supposedly set the first day, despite all of that, in her home state, she's polling at 4th place? Oh, is that 5th place? No, it's 4th place. That's not good. It seems to me that her record is catching up to her, that people consider her inauthentic. Can't really blame them for feeling that way. But I will say this as a caveat, a positive caveat for Kamala. She does have the debates coming up on the 27th. Kamala will have an opportunity to try and take her spot back from Warren. I don't really believe. Now, once again, the sampling may be a little bit better. Matter of fact, let me see if I can find out right now. The sampling may be a bit better. I still imagine that they probably oversampled older people, and I really hope they didn't only use landlines. But yeah, so they in there was 4,000 people, 4,400 people surveyed in this particular poll, and basically overall, like, Kamala didn't do well in almost any of the departments. Medicare for all, struggling, right? Because that's a huge, on the issues, California Democratic primary supporters of each candidate who said the next president should move immediately to adopt one of the following: increasing taxes on the wealthy. Warren actually went out on that, which is really weird. Bernie coming at a strong 75%, and then Harris is at 74%, even though she never said she would increase taxes on the wealthy. Green New Deal is a big one. Sanders and Warren are way ahead of everybody. Harris is 57, Sanders is 77, Warren 78, Biden 47. Medicare for all. And these, by the way, basically, these are the issues. When somebody says, I choose this person first, this is the issue that they said they need to move on first. But basically, it looks like Kamala has no wheelhouse. Like they don't know who she is. See, with increasing taxes on the wealthy, Warren won that. Like, the people who said Warren, they said increase taxes on the 89% of people said that's the first thing she needs to do. She won't get that done, but whatever. Green New Deal. Weirdly enough, Warren, same thing. They think that she's a climate change activist. 78% for her supporters said that needs to be done first. 77% to Bernie. Medicare for all, obviously Sanders, 69%. Like, Harris has low numbers in all of these. And it just demonstrates that she doesn't have an identity. Like, just from a purely strategic standpoint, you can't win in a diverse or an election in a diverse pool of candidates with no identity. Bernie, Medicare for all, activist, right? Warren, ideas, policy wonk. That's what they call her. Whether or not it's true is completely irrelevant in this regard, because, I mean, Kamala's lying just as much as Elizabeth Warren is. But Kamala is the only one who's getting negative reactions to her, because Elizabeth Warren's better at lying, to be completely honest. If we're being real, Elizabeth Warren's way better at lying than almost everybody else in this race. That's the scariest part about Warren. Biden, I'm going to stick to being a centrist conservative. Buttigieg, I don't really know. I don't think he has an identity either. Obviously, Tulsi has a foreign policy identity. Gang, UBI, Mary Williamson, reparations, and leading with peace. Like, the names that are talked about the most, even if they're not polling top 5, the names that are talked about, because ultimately that will be the determining factor of, who ends up winning in a given election, because polling can only show us so much. It's been so wrong in the past. I think we are aware of that. But the people who are talked about the most, Yang, Bernie, Tulsi, even Marianne Williamson on the West Coast. A lot of people love her out there. Warren and Biden, they all have identities. We don't know what Harris's identity is. It changes. So, like I said, this is kind of predictable. We said this is after the convention. We reported that, hey, Warren's about to take, or not Warren, excuse me, Harris is about to take a drop. Warren's about to take a jump. And so that's what the LA Times are reporting. So I am excited to see what happens going forward. Don't get it twisted though. California is still up for grabs. Harris could have a fantastic debate, come up from behind, and overtake everybody. It's still possible. People are gullible, and the whole world's about it. Literally, I would imagine at this point, the whole world is going to be watching these debates. So, and unfortunately, like I said, people are gullible. This is her chance to lie to people again. Like, to lie and be a little bit more convincing, because Warren's going to lie. And like I said, she's the best liar in the race. There's nobody who has been better at lying. Cory Booker's tried it. Harris has tried it. Cory Booker, Harris, Biden even, Julian Castro, Buttigieg, Beto, all have tried to lie. None have done it better than Warren. And so for every other establishment candidate, that's going to be the biggest challenge, is to out-lie Warren and convince people that you're authentic, which is going to be very hard because she's done a pretty damn good job of, I've been really wrestling with this. Everything, she's been wrestling with all of her moral convictions. It's really weird how every time she's asked a question, she's been wrestling with it. Okay, relax, WWE Total Diva. With that being said, thank you all so much for tuning into that live stream, or to that segment of Mikasa and Sukasa. Not live stream this time, but go check out our other live stream segments. And remember, more than anything else, bad fact, remember more than anything else, before we get to the finding and balance part, like the video, like it. Make sure you're not going to be unsubscribed. To make sure that you are going to get the notifications constantly, like the video, comment on the video. Of course, share the video. All right? That's what my YouTube nerds told me, so we're going to go with. Remember, more than anything else, find your balance. Peace. Thanks for watching that segment of Mikasa Says Sukasa. Make sure you follow us on Twitter, on Facebook, on Roku TV, and on JustNForm.com. Also, you can make sure that you're subscribed to the channel by going to the subscribe button, pressing it, and hitting that notification bell to get all of our notifications. And of course, you can help us reach our goal of 500 patrons on Patreon by supporting the show by donating as little as $1. You can click on the link in the description below for that. And remember, more than anything else, find your balance. Peace.